Hello, everyone, my lovely melanated people, you beautiful beings all over the world. Uh, my name is Reverend Penelope Stewart. I run an online metaphysical store called Chemistry. And I wanted to come to you with a book title today called Secrets of Voodoo. It's by Milo Rigaud, Secrets of Voodoo. I thought this was a really good book overall. It was good. Just I didn't like some of the wording in there. I think the wording could have been different because some of the wording kind of made me uncomfortable. I knew what he meant. Luckily that I know a lot. I was already prepped on what voodoo was before I read this book, but it's a very interesting book. And what I like about it is that it talks about how old voodoo is and how it predates the Bible, and how and you really see the similarities of all the African spiritual systems, such as Orisha, what is it, Kemet. You see the they're kind of set up in the same fashion. They're kind of set up in the same fashion, and you can see them come to America as slave and hide some of that under American religion. You know, that's where you get hoodoo and all that from, because these were Africans that came over that were already very knowledgeable of their own spirituality, and so they already knew, because when they start hearing things, some of the stories about uh, in the Bible, they instantly knew that they were talking about them. They got that information from them. You know what I'm saying? So they were very familiar with some of these religions, because you mean quite naturally they would be, because they came from Africa. So it was very easy for them to adapt their um, spirituality under these religions, and that's where you get hoodoo, voodoo. You know what I'm saying? That's where you get that from. That's where you get that from. Because when you read in here, you see they do a lot of comparisons in here. For instance, they did a comparisons to Moses in here, where it says that Moses was trying in the voodoo ritual, and by stating that they had identified with somebody, some being, some African being, you know, that same story was Moses was about. You know what I'm saying? You see this plagiarism. They identified plagiarism. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. So you see that in this book. I think it's very interesting. Then it goes back in here. What I like most about the book, because I'm into I admire voodoo. I don't know why, I've always been drawn to it, and the more I learn about it, I learn that I've always felt like it was the oldest form of spiritual practice of African people. I've always felt like that. Now I know about Kemet, I know about Orisha, I know about them, but I've just always been drawn to this. I don't know why. I don't know why. Everybody's different. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's different when it comes to accepting their, when they embrace that African spiritual essence. Everybody is different. I noticed that. I'm voodoo, and I like that. But then when you look at African spiritual system all the way across the board, it's really no difference in them, because the deities have so many of the similar energies. You know what I'm saying? It's like we were in different geographical locations, so um, I that's the way I see it. So that's why the deities just seem a little different in names and like that of the sort. We were in different, geographical location. The language was different. So quite naturally, these deities would be similar but not exactly alike. That's what they tell me, but that's what they tell me. They're not alike. But in my eyes, looking at it as an African, I can see the similarities in all of them. They all the same to me when it comes to African religion because it makes sense. It's consistent. It's a consistent. When you look at African religions, all of them are consistent. They are in agreement with each other. You know what I'm saying? You don't see that from you don't see that in Christianity, Islam, you know what I'm saying? Buddhism, you just don't see that consistency. You know what I'm saying? But in African religion, when you go to look at them a little closer, they're consistent to each other. You can compare them and you can see the consistency. You can say, oh, well, they said that in this, so you can confirm them against each other, so to speak. And that's what I like about African religion too. It's more consistent to me. But she they talk about the rituals in here, and that's what I liked about that. They go uh full fledged with the rituals. Uh, some of these veves are just some I have never seen before. If you're familiar with voodoo and veves, you know what I'm talking about. Some of these I have never seen before. I've never seen some of these veves before. So, and that was interesting. I thought that was very interesting. I like that because I like to be exposed to new things, and I want to learn as much as I can about it because I really um, believe. I said I believe that my ancestors. This is what my ancestors would want me to do. So I just follow in their footsteps, so to be. And so they talk about a lot of stuff. And what I thought that was interesting in here, uh, it's a right. If anybody is familiar with the Wicca occult or esoteric knowledge, before you perform any type of quote unquote, and I hate these terms because hate these terms they put on it. But before you begin to perform magic or do your work on your altar or whatever, you do this lesser banishing ritual. And in this ritual, what you do are you're cleansing the area, you're cleansing the energy, and then you're calling in your guardian angels or your guardian spirits to protect you and help you, aid you while you do this work. And so you call on these different entities or these ancestral spirits to come in and help you and protect you and aid you in performing your act on your altar. And so I thought that was interesting to hear. It's a lesser banishing ritual for the rites of voodoo, and it is almost the same. It's almost the same, but a little different in more of an African language, and some of the terms are different in a way. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And I mean, I love exploring African religion because the more I explore African religion, the more I look at New Age and be like, that's not so New Age. You know what I'm saying? It's not so New Age, and I talked about that. I'm gonna write a blog on that. Um, a lot of people's not gonna like that subject, but I get into that subject because I see New Age going down the same road as religion because it's with them beliefs again. Because that is what that is. I don't understand. The dangerous thing to me is when these beings, all these beings, the Pleiadians, the Andromedans, all they seem to be all white. That is my problem with that. Now, my next question with that is for the Africans' knowledge and knowing about the African way of connecting spiritual. You supposed to be in line with your ancestors. That's how our spiritual system works. You know what I'm saying? Being in your vibration with your ancestors. You know what I'm saying? So what are they doing? See, you understand what I'm saying? Because see, they have stolen something from you and modified it. So what have they modified it to do? then you have these ascended masters in New Age, which is Buddha, Krishna, and Jesus. And this is shocking to me because we already know there is no Jesus. You see what I'm saying? And their motto is all paths going they lead to truth. You know what I'm saying? See that deception in there? That they're letting you know all these beliefs lead to truth. So that's where the Pope is getting ready to go with that. You know, he's gonna it's gonna be this one religion that's how I see this New Age thing. That's where that's gonna go, because what you have them going saying is saying, instead of acknowledge the truth that this coming from African indigenous people, we're gonna say all of them correct, so we don't have to admit that. We can further, you know, embrace these lies because now we said all the lies right. Basically, that's what you're saying. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to because I know sometimes I I trip on myself the way I look at things. I hope that came across where you understood that, but that's how I look at that. Basically, that's what you're saying. You're saying that, you know, because I've tried to talk to New Age people in there, in these feel good groups, crystal groups, or whatever. I've tried to talk to them many times on that, and they go with this ascension thing. Well, we ascend and descend every night in our sleep. Some of us ascend and descend. We don't remember. You know, you could just wake up and just be knowing stuff and don't know why you remember, or you feel like you've been somewhere before or lived that moment before. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's how you know sometimes you have ascended or descended, because sometimes you'll feel like you've done this before, or you lived this memory before. You know what I'm saying? But you saw it somewhere because you ascended in a dream. You went forward in a dream. But that's another subject. You know what I'm saying? So that, you know, that's dangerous too. You know, they want to say that we are spiritual beings, but I think by embracing these lies and stuff and not dividing, it's just too dangerous to accept an illusion, something not real. You know what I'm saying? We see what's going on in these Christian churches. You know what I'm saying? We have to be real African people. You know, we get duped into that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you have to be, you're just different. You're just different. You know what I'm saying? That is for them. That's been modified for them. I don't know. We don't know what type of beings that they're in contact with. You know, it's just a surprising to me that all these beings are white, and we know all this stuff come from Africans. I mean, I just be tripping out on it. All these beings are white. That they see the Palladians and all them, they got, you know what I'm saying? I just be tripping off that. That none of them are black. And they welcome them. You know what I'm saying? What would they do if it was a black, you know, being? You know, so that's where I go with that. You know, so I that New Age thing, that's what you know, it's nothing New Age about it. These are all African concepts that's been modified to fit them. Whether it's the star seeds, the indigo, our ancestors already knew that we come back, and they knew which generation is reincarnated in which era. They already knew that. You know what I'm saying? So they're not telling us anything that our ancestors haven't already shared with us, written in stone. So, you know, that's what I have to say about that. You know, stick. You know, if you're African, you need to think about that. Makes a difference. You know, I hear people say, "Well, we all have a beautiful soul. We really do. We all are light beings. That is true. That is true. Okay." But my thing with that, it wasn't nothing wrong with the first way of getting there. So if African spirituality was the first way of finding your true self and connecting with God, why would you go and get something modified? You know what I'm saying? It don't make no sense. So I mean, you're not judging anybody by saying, okay, I don't want to do the new age. I want to totally function under my ancestors' way of doing things. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they're doing. And I think we should really look at the fact too that when we do talk about race comes up into this play and we mention this to them, you know what I'm saying? We get duped in it. Oh, we're all the same. See how we're lumping things? And I just don't feel that way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying we're better than you, but obviously not. Obviously we're not the same. Because what I'm seeing with you, I'm seeing you with all these white, whatever these aliens is. I'm not saying they ain't real for them or whatever, but we seeing that they're white Palladians and Andromedans and all whatever that is. I'm not saying it's not real, but I'm saying that that's for them. That is for them. We need to focus on our ancestors. You know, we need to find out more about ourselves spiritually because that's for them. That's been modified for them. That's their spiritual experience. You know what I'm saying? And uh, and it comes from us. You know what I'm saying? And it's been modified for them. So just try to understand that. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it. That's why I had to look at it because I've tried to talk to many of them about it, and they won't talk about it. They don't want to talk about this subject. I've been kicked out of groups. Some of these groups, I posted some factual things. I think it was in a Wiccan group. I had posted some stuff about this Diana, this deity of some of the Wiccans. If y'all have ever heard of her, she's a goddess or whatever. And I posted some information about how she was African or whatever. I think that's what I posted in there. And then when I went back, I was like deleted out the group. You know what I'm saying? So when we post factual, you'll know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even ugly about the things that I bring awareness about. But they some people just don't like the truth. It's very uncomfortable for them. But my thing about that, if it's uncomfortable for you, then that you probably need to hear it. You need to question yourself. Why is it so uncomfortable for me? Even though this is the truth, why is it so uncomfortable for me? Why do I have a problem with this young lady stating truth, facts? Why do I have to, attack her or, you know what I'm saying? Because people, you need to ask yourself that. And African people, you need to ask yourself, why do you feel the need to suppress that? You know what I'm saying? You're not being who you truly are. Nobody's gonna stop me from being who now that I'm free and I really don't care about people being, feeling uncomfortable about the things I speak about. You know, you don't know who you're helping. You know what I'm saying? And being able to express yourself. So you're gonna have to embrace who you are and face their reality. You know what I'm saying? Because it really does matter. It really does matter. It really does matter. And that's the only thing I can say without it being ugly. You know what I'm saying? I don't know other way to put it without it being ugly. Uh, but that's the fact of the matter, and that's the way it is. But yeah, get this book. It's a really good book. Uh, and it also talks about how the it now voodoo is becoming very popular, and they talked about how and I've been talking about this, how the ATRs are trying to take over voodoo, and these are a group of white people that's trying to take it over, but they don't want to talk about the historical facts or anything of our ancestors in it. That's why I say we different. You know what I'm saying? This is the living fact, and this books talk about that in there. These people, they do not want to admit that, so they talk about this in this book too, and how they stopped us and try to cut us off from our ancestral practices. So, they talk about that in this book, but that's a reality. That's what you're gonna see. That's what I see in it now. So that's why I be trying to wake a lot of us up, or to know more about it, because it's being taken over, and not because it don't work, not because it's not real. But my thing with them is, how long is that gonna work for you, or if it's really working for them? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but are they really genuine with it? You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about it. Because they really don't want to talk about the facts of it. They really like run away from it. You know what I'm saying? And they really, my thing with that, how are you honoring our ancestor? Because this is an ancestral spiritual practice. That's where I really started. So what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing? But I thank y'all for watching this video, and I hope you get this book. I think I got this book from Amazon. I thought it was a really good book. I think it was written by, I think that non-African wrote this book, because, and the reason why I said it is because I don't see a picture of anything of the guy. I need to Google him, but I don't think he's that's just my opinion. I could be wrong though, but I don't think he's an African. Just on the name, and just some of the way he worded some things in this book, you know. But it's a really good book if you want to know more about the voodoo rituals, and learn more about the Veves. This is a really good book, you know. And like I said, I'm just finding little bits at a time, little pieces together, because I'm very interested in it, very interested in it. And yes, I would use some of the prayers in this book, because yes, I would use some. I intend on using them. Very good information. So if you ask me that, if you was to ask me that, would I use some of the ceremonies and prayers in this book? Yes, I would, because they seem accurate. They seem accurate. You know. When I seen that lesser banishing ritual, I was like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? So that's the first time I ever seen it in an African thing. So I say it takes, and if it's in African, this is how I look at it, because we were the original people. I get my mind to thinking like that, because we've been so programmed to think white first, white first. It's totally opposite. So I know if it's African, it's more likely to be authentic. You know what I'm saying? But I like the book. Get the book. It's called The Secrets of Voodoo by Milo Rigaud. Uh, it's got some information in here, very helpful. Okay, come see us at Chemistry. Uh, like we said, we get 10% of our profits to honoring African ancestor matters. You can find us on meetup.com. And I could be back in a minute to tell you a little bit about chemistry, okay? Love you, love and light. May the ancestors be with you. I hope this book was very helpful for you.